Clock that tea. Clock it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hey girl or boy, we do not discriminate this way. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about consistency and how your inconsistency in your life is keeping you consistent with the life you don't want to live. Gag it. I just learned this in sign language. It's clock that tea. Yeah, clock that tea. Clock it. As you guys know, I only really like to touch on topics that I feel like I personally have gone through. And me, girl, I feel like inconsistency is my biggest downfall. It is the one thing that I feel like if I could be consistent, I really feel like in the gym, with the hair routine, with YouTube, with saving, like I don't think y'all are hearing me. Consistency equals growth, equals evolving, equals an upgrade. Like, are we all following? Like, I hope we're all getting what I'm trying to say. At the end of the day, inconsistency keeps you consistent with where you don't want to be. If you're consistently saying, I want to lose weight, or I want to grow my hair out, or I want to save money, or I want a new job, but you're consistently eating out and not working out, you're consistently disrespecting your hair, you're consistently not pursuing the dream that you want to pursue, it's just you're consistently going to get the same consistent results with what you're consistently doing with your actions. Like, and it took me a minute to get this, but like once you break it down like that and you realize that you being inconsistent is the only reason or the only thing standing in your way from what you want, the life you want to live, and versus the one you're living, like the life you're living right now is a reflection of all of your actions. Yes, like we've all been through things, like yes, some of it has to factor into your upbringing and has to factor into like resources and everything like that, but at the end of the day, the true thing holding you back is you and you being inconsistent. So like for me personally, you also have to figure out what's keeping you from being consistent. Is it your fear of failure? Is it your fear of success? Because that's also a fear that people have. Is it your self-doubt? Like what is it that's holding you back from really pushing through to being who you want to be? Because in reality, the only difference versus the you that would be living the life that you really want to live and the you now is what you do with your day and your life. Like that's the only difference. Like say you want to be a YouTuber and you're not waking up and you're not filming, you're not editing, you're not thinking of better videos, you're not investing in equipment, you're not posting. Like how could you expect that to be you in the future when you're not even doing that right now? Let's say I always use like tangible things like working out and like saving are just so easy. Like let's say you want to work out more, like you want shredded abs, like you want to get those gains, you know what I'm saying? You're constantly eating out, you're not eating the right foods, you're not going to the gym, and if you are, you're not targeting the right muscles just because you're nervous about using the weights. Like you have to get out there, like you literally have to put yourself out there to get what you want to get, because you get what you give. And I never got that. Like I never ever got that, but you do get what you give. Like you 100% get what you give out of life. If you're giving life 10%, you're going to be saying 10%, and that's just a sad truth. Also, consistency and discipline go hand in hand. So if you're not disciplined with your consistency, you won't see any growth. So let's say like you start off and let's say you play a sport and you start off, you're naturally just gifted in that area. Like you're just naturally good. Like you're that girl. And someone else starts off, not to compare, but like they're just, you know, everyone doesn't have the same natural talents. But they are going home and they're practicing, they're working hard, like they are putting in that work, and you are just going off raw talent. You're not putting anything extra in, you're just showing up and kind of like, oh wow, like, yay, I got a point. But they are putting in that work, and now you're noticing that they're getting a little bit better than you. And like I said, it's not a competition, but you just have to recognize that even if you are naturally talented at something, you have to work hard and be consistent in whatever it is and hone in, because there's always going to be someone out there that wants it more than you, or needs it more than you, or is willing to work harder than you. And it's not a knock on you. If you're okay with being mediocre, like, be that. Like, who am I to tell you not to be mediocre? If you want to be mediocre, by all means, do that. Do you, boo. But this is for the people that want to elevate, that want to step up from where they are in life, and they've kind of hit a wall and they're like, I don't know, like, I feel like I'm doing great, but I could be doing better. Like, I feel like it's just always more growth you can have, and consistency is the stepping tool, the biggest key to that growth. So since I just talked about why being consistent is so important, I'm also going to talk about how to stay consistent, because I know it's a lot easier than it sounds. Like, now that we've broken down the real reason to be consistent, because sometimes I have struggled doing something because I don't understand the importance in it. Like, when I'd be playing soccer and my mom was like, Serenity, like, you could be so much better if you just actually went home and you practiced and you did drills and like all of this. She would always really try to hammer in, like, you could be so much better if you were to be consistent, be disciplined, and actually work hard for something. And it's like, and when you're younger, or for me personally, when I was like in high school, like, I just took everything kind of with a grain of salt. Like, I'm like, as long as I'm here and I'm graduating, like, I'm good. But I feel like it's in moments like that where it can really train your brain to be consistent and disciplined in all aspects of your life. And that's why I do think that, like, sports and like organized groups where it does involve a lot of discipline and consistency, like consistent meetings, consistently like working out, whatever like you're consistently doing in this group, I feel like is so good when you're developing, like in high school or like even middle school, like just coming up, even in adulthood, if you still are like in a league. Like, I feel like it's just, it really wires your brain and it makes you feel motivated, like you're working towards something. And I don't know if that's just me, but I am an athlete, so I don't know. That's why consistency is so important. I wanted to explain that before I hopped into how to be consistent, because I feel like you need to understand why before we understand the how. So now that we're on the how, I feel like consistency, you need to really pick a struggle. Like, either you're going to be consistently doing what you're doing, consistently scrolling on TikTok, consistently overeating, consistently just complaining about your job, just consistently doing that stuff. Or you could consistently be like, I don't feel like working out today, but I'm gonna go to the gym. Like, I don't feel like going to work today, but I'm gonna make this bread, stack it for whatever I wanted. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're working and you're working a job that you don't want to work at right now, but you need to make your money somehow, work that job until you can literally build whatever it is you want to build. Like, you should always, if you hate it that bad, you should always have something bigger you're trying to work on. Do you know what I mean? So if you want to save, you need to be consistently going to work saying, okay, well, I'm here to consistently get to this check. Like, I'm here to consistently get to the bag. Instead of consistently checking on what this man is doing, you need to consistently be clocking in. Hello? Oh, okay. Because I thought we were being real with each other for a second. So at the end of the day, that's really what it is. You need to pick your struggle. It's gonna be hard either way. And when I saw that, I forget where I saw it at. It was probably TikTok or something. But like, you need to pick your hard. It's gonna be hard. Life is gonna be hard regardless. So you either need to struggle consistently, and if you struggle consistently like that, you're gonna struggle forever. I won't lie. But if you pick the right struggle, like waking up early, it's a struggle. It really is. And that's something I'm really struggling with right now. Like, I've never struggled waking up early ever this bad. Like, but I'm really struggling. So if you're struggling with waking up early, it also kind of feels not so good when you sleep in until 12 or 1. Now the day is almost gone and you don't know what you're going to do. So just make sure whatever your heart is going to be, make sure it's worthwhile. So if you do want to scroll on TikTok, but you just love TikTok that much, girl, you better hop on there and start posting those drafts, okay? Because you can make a full-time job out of that if you really want to, you know what I mean? So it's like, just whatever you're consistent in, just make sure it's something that your future self would also be consistent doing. Because that's how your future self gets consistent doing it, is only if the present you starts doing it, you know what I mean? Also, another way to stay consistent is to realize what usually knocks you off of your consistency game. So for me personally, sometimes I have a fear of success or even a fear of failure. If you feel that way or whatever, and you notice that you're making progress in an area, and this is also called self-sabotage. If you're noticing like, hey, like, I've really been consistent in this area of my life, like, wow, like, I'm noticing growth. It's always when I notice growth, like, I'm really noticing growth right now. Like, how can I mess this up? When you feel those kind of thoughts coming, and they kind of come so subtly that you don't even think, oh, this is self-sabotage. Like, sometimes it is that in your face and you're like, I'm self-sabotaging, but sometimes it comes in like, I've been working so hard, like, I don't think I need to keep working that hard. Like, you know, like, things like that. You need to learn to clock it, have that discipline, and be like, yeah, like, I don't feel like it. You need to learn that your feelings are going to come and go. You're gonna feel like working out some days, you're not gonna feel like it some days. You're gonna feel like making content, you're not some other days. Like, you're just not gonna feel like doing what you should do every day. But that doesn't mean that you should give into your feelings and be like, wow, like, I really ate that one little thing. Like, when you give into your feelings also, it kind of just is a downward slope from there, at least for me. Like, if I'm like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but this time I'm just gonna take a break because I'm not feeling it today. After I don't do what I told myself I was gonna do and I take that break because I wasn't feeling it, now I feel even worse, because now it's like, now I'm letting myself down. Now I'm not doing what I said I was gonna do for me. Like, now I'm feeling like a failure. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, like, my life is over. Like, no, like, that's why these feelings, you gotta check them, clock them. Don't ignore them. Be like, yeah, you know, like, today is a rough day, but that doesn't mean I don't have stuff to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think at the end of the day, you just have to learn how to clock your own tea. You have to learn how to motivate yourself. Nobody loves you, baby. You should only love yourself. On myself. I don't know if y'all saw that video.
Nobody loves you, baby. You should only love yourself. On myself.
I be seeing that TikTok. And so, like, if you're not learning to clock that tea for yourself, you're constantly going to be getting clocked into bed and clocked on a TikTok and clocked out of reality. Because that's not what we want. You know what I'm saying? So those are some ways to help with your consistency. Another way that you can work on staying consistent is to post like sticky notes, like write it on your phone, like write it somewhere where you're going to see it daily, just to remember your why and why you're pushing through and what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. Because sometimes, like, when you're just thinking about how you feel, you just forget why you're doing what you're doing. So having those whys posted and reminding yourself like why you're doing it, it will really help you fight that feeling and be like, yeah, I don't feel like it, but like, it's so much bigger than this feeling right now. Like, this is so much bigger than what I feel. Like, I gotta do it. And also, sometimes you may not feel it, because sometimes another thing about self-sabotage is you'll feel resistance when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I didn't even know that. I looked it up on ChatGPT. They told me that, girl. I said, oh, I thought I just wasn't feeling it ever when I wanted to film. But it's the resistance of you doing something that actually is like benefiting you, and you almost get scared to do that because you are either scared to fail, like you're self-sabotaging, like you're trying to protect yourself essentially. Like, at the end of the day, you can't let that fear hold you back. You can't let that resistance get to you from being consistent. Like, you need to learn how to talk to your fear. I recently, like, whenever I don't want to do something, I'll be like, well, why do I not want to do it? And if it's because I'm scared, I tell myself that's not a good enough reason. Like, yeah, girl, it's okay to be scared, but it's not okay to let that fear overtake your life. There's times where you shouldn't be naive and just blatantly like ignorant, but like, if it's not a reasonable fear, or it's not like life or death or dangerous, like, you should be doing it. Like, if you're scared to post and that's the only reason you're not posting, that's not a good enough reason. If you're scared to go to the gym because you think people are going to make fun of you, that's not a good enough reason. If you're not going because you have health problems, that's not a fear, that's a legitimate reason. You know what I'm saying? So you have to learn how to differentiate those feelings. You have to learn how to put them in the corner where they belong. And the more you put them in the corner, the more quiet they're gonna get, and the louder, like, your more confident thoughts are gonna be. So you also need to remember that. Another way to stay consistent is to set realistic goals for yourself. Like, say you want to get in the gym, and you're like, I'm gonna go 6 days a week, and I'm gonna go 6 days a week, 2 times a day, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go for 2 hours when I get there. Like, got too much dip on your chip. Like, yes, eventually I think you should go for that, but right now we should work on just at least going 2 to 3 days a week. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's start somewhere where you can meet yourself. Also, like, once you start doing that, you'll feel like you can build that trust with yourself, and you'll be like, no, like, I do what I said I'm gonna do because I told myself I was gonna go 3 days a week, and I did that. If you go more, great, love that for you. Don't say like you really want to hit 5 days but you only go 3. You only went 3, but your goal, your bare minimum was 2. So you're okay. Now you're not feeling bad about yourself, and now you don't have a negative rapport with going to the gym. Now you feel like you kind of ate that one little thing. So now you really want to keep going. You don't have to, it's not all or nothing, and I struggle with that so hard. Like for me, I have no gray area. It's either black or white. Like there's no in between. Either I'm going full throttle or I'm not doing it at all. And I feel like that's been helpful when I have like short spurts of things I need to get done, but when I need to do something consistently, that's not going to help. That's like an endurance runner sprinting and then stopping, then sprinting, then stopping. That's not, you need to build that endurance, you need to build that consistency. So start small. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. Just, and maybe every 2 months add a day at the gym. Like say, okay, I've been going consistently for 2 days. Next month I want to try 3. I see how I can fit that into my schedule. Now I'm going to try 4. Like it's also about making room in your life for the growth, because if you're not starting off at a place of growth and you're not starting off with the time budgeted out for the gym because you're not used to going, you won't know really when to fit it in. So you have to just start small, start in small increments, kind of just ease it into your life, and once it's in there, you can slowly just like ease it in more. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's okay to start small. At least you're starting, and start somewhere. And I feel like honestly starting small, you'll go further, because people that just you're gonna run out. You're gonna run out of endurance. You're gonna burn out. Like it's just not gonna be a good time. So that's another suggestion I have for consistency, is starting small. Try to start somewhere with anything, and know that there's no start that's too small, because 1% is better than 0%. Also, like if you're asking God for growth and you're asking him to multiply your gains in the gym, multiply your money, multiply your views, but you're not putting yourself in positions for anything to get multiplied, like you can't multiply anything by 0 because you'll still get 0. So at least have something to multiply with. Like at least have one day in the gym, at least be posting something, like, you know what I'm saying? So also just remember, if you are trusting and waiting for something from God, just remember that you have to do your part, because faith without works is dead. So baby, you gotta get out on your Zoom, and faith is just the placeholder for the real thing. So you doing what you gotta do, and just knowing that God's gonna do the rest is already enough. So really, you just gotta show up and you can't lose. So I just want you to remember that next time you feel doubtful in yourself, just remember that you're on a winning team, and no matter what, you literally cannot fail, like at all. So yeah, I just wanted to remind you guys that too. So yeah, that's all that I have for this video today. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that it helped. I hope that we could both take from this and start being more consistent and seeing that growth in our lives that we really want to see. And I'll see you guys later. I hope you have a good day. Bye.